Hey there, this is Malorian, and today we're going to be talking about, again, with the new Wood Elves book. So last time I talked about all the special rules, the items, all the different units. I kind of said which were my favorite and my least favorite, how I thought the book would be played. Now it's time to bring in the special characters because they always bring a different twist to the army. There's always something that they bring and say, okay, that's the book, but now you can play it this way. So let's see what the special characters in this one bring. And there's a few of them here, some new, and I like some, I don't like others. We're going to be going through this now, and we're going to be starting with the first one, which is Durthu, which is this new tree man with a sword, and he's pretty good. His stats are like the old tree man, except he's like weapon skill 7 and ballistic skill 7, so apparently these trees are like freaking ninjas. He's a wizard of beasts. So whereas before, a lot of these different trees and things had the lore of life, this guy has a lore of beasts. So, I mean, wild form is always good to know that you're going to have this basic thing in there. Going the strength 7, toughness 7 on himself if he needs it, or putting it on your dryads to make them more badass, or putting them onto your rangers to keep your great weapons alive. It's nice to have that beast there, and you never know when you might get something even better, right? It'd be kind of crazy if he was infantry, so you could actually try and turn him to a dragon or something like that instead, but no, we got this badass tree. Now, what else he has is that apparently he just hates everything, so he has hatred, and then past that, he's a lot like the other guys, where he's flammable, he's stubborn, cause terror, has the tree whack if you really need it, but he also has his own special little shooting attack, which is 12 inches, strength 2 only, but it's killing blow, and you get 2d6 shots. So it's basically your night killer. So whereas I said for the other tree men, now that they're a little bit more weaker, they're only strength 5. Now with this guy, you have him, we can at least shoot them. And if it ever gets to combat, you know, at least you're a little bit stronger so you can be smashing those guys too. Now, this guy does come from your Lord section, and he's a hefty amount of points. I'm just going to be flipping here to the back. And big old Durthu is a big old 385 points. And that's a lot. That is really a lot. I mean, if we compare him to the other tree men ancient, we're looking at 100 points more roughly that this guy is. Now, is it worth it? Well, really the two are very different things, right? The other one's kind of more of a mage wizard, where you'll be going and he's already a level 2 of life. You can be paying extra points to be making the other one get to a level 4 or something. But this guy is more of the combat side. Now, the problem here is that whenever you're looking at these monsters, you're always going to have to be really worried about the cannons, right? You can take a monster, and monsters are awesome, but you're always worried about being hit by a cannon, and then you lose the whole thing. So the more points a singular model is, the bigger the risk is. Now, we talked about last time, and even just earlier, about how there's a lot of lore life in the army. Between all those characters, the new Sisters of the Thorn running around, there's a lot of lore life. So as long as the cannon doesn't kill this guy in one go, you can heal him up. It'll be no problem. Or you can have the different arrows you have, be going after the cannons on the other side and getting rid of that threat. You would really have to make sure to do that, though, because it would really suck to be losing almost 400 points, 500 if he's a general, just from one cannon shot. So a really big risk. And in general, I think I'd probably just go with a regular tree man. I mean, if we really look at the benefits, you know, his stats are a bit higher, but they're not really super high. I mean, I'd say the biggest thing is him having hatred. Make sure that he can't really whiff anything. His shooting attack, you know, that's going to be very situational when it's actually going to be able to be used. I mean, the knights, if they're coming after him, they're probably charging in, so he's not able just to stand around and shoot most of the time. So, I don't know. It's a lot of points, and I think normally, I mean, the nice thing of going with a regular tree man as well is, again, he wouldn't be your general, so there's not that additional 100 points taxed on as well if they ever kill him. So, as much as he's really cool, I would really feel risky trying to take this guy. Alright, the next one is kind of a more iconic character, and this is going to be Orion. And he's the big, huge, massive man with the dogs going around, and he's kind of a monster himself too. He's really fast at speed 9, weapon skill 8, blitz skill 8. I mean, I'm telling you, there's ninjas in the woods training these guys. Only toughness 5. I was kind of hoping to see toughness 6 there. 5 wounds, initiative 9, 5 attacks. And this guy, like I said, he's basically a monster. He does have frenzy, so there's another attack there. He is having to take a test to see if he has to charge all the time, but he has leadership 10, so that's probably not going to be an issue. He also has unbreakable. Now, unbreakable is pretty damn nice on this guy. Before, he was unbreakable, but he could crumble, and now he's just straight up unbreakable. Now, we're not talking about the Nurgle Demon Prince here. We're not talking about weapon skill 9 at -1 to hit, and the guy's healing himself all the time. I mean, this guy actually does have a chance to heal himself. What you do is, at the end of every turn, you roll a dice, and on a 6, he gets a wound back. But this is not like the Nurgle Demon Prince, where it's for every wound you roll a dice, and on a 6, he gets it back. So, you know, there's a little bit of risk there going too. He does have a 5+ ward, magic resistance 2, so at least magic shouldn't do anything to him because he'll be having a 3+ ward against it. Past that, he does have a little fancy horn he can blow, so that him and all of the Wood Elves within 6 inches units get devastating charge. Now, you can build a list with this guy then to be looking at more at the counter charge, right? Now let's say if you set up a list where you're putting out all those 4s, let's say you took the acorn, or maybe you just got lucky and you put those 4s you want, or maybe just the one free one. If you see there's impassable, you know that they can go through here. You make them an abyssal wood. You have your unit of rangers, your horde of rangers, ready to countercharge. And as soon as you draw them into that forest, boom, the rangers charge, this guy charge. Your rangers, the front row, are going to have 3 attacks each. Between those, the guys you're attacking having fear, and then also with the devastating charge. So really, tons of attacks. Ah! And then, of course, you have the Monster Man going in there too, Orion. So very nice to have. He does have 2 different shooting profiles. The first one is a 30-inch, which is nice, especially when you're so fast. It's really big range. And that's going to be always 6 shots and at strength 5. So, if nothing else, this will be something where at the very beginning, you could be going out there, shooting off chaff, getting things out of there, or even going back and starting to hit the war machines yourself, right? He is an insanely high ballistic skill, so you'll be hitting those on 2s and sneaking those wounds in, right? Maybe, I mean, he's not going to be destroying the war machine on himself, but if you plink a couple on that cannon, or even just 1, and as a team you can destroy that on turn 1, that's massive. So that's something that'll be really nice to have. Plus, he also has his spear, which works like a bolt thrower, but he can use it if he moves, as long as he doesn't march. And it is only 18-inch range. It is strength 7, multiple wounds, D3. So just like a regular bolt thrower. And this is also very nice to have, right? If you're ever up against other monsters, or monsters infantry or something, bam, you hit them with this thing. Or even if there's, you know, skull crushers or something like that, bam, you can be crushing those things. And, you know, at least plinking off 1 a turn type thing. Now, let's talk about some of the bads. Well, actually, we're not quite done yet before we can get to the bad. He does have the option to be taking 2 hounds with him. Now, it is kind of weird to have hounds joined with a monster. It does give him some protection. What it means is that if they shoot a cannon at you, they still hit you, because that's what the line went through. If they shoot you, say, with an organ gun, then you get to divide it up. So taking 2 hounds means that when they shoot you with that organ gun, you're only going to be hit with every 3rd shot, basically. So it kind of helps. It's 20 points to take the 2 hounds, and you know, if you're going to take the guy, you might want to be trying to make him as survivable as possible. So it's probably going to be a smart thing to take. Here's the real killer. The guy before the upgrade is 600 points. And that is a hell of a lot of points. I mean, sure, you could say all I need to be playing is a 2,400-point game, assuming there's no dogs, and then I can fit him in there, right? So it's not like Mazda Mondi where I can't even do it in like a regular-sized game. I can fit this guy in. Well, remember, this is going to take up all of your Lord allocation. And yeah, I mean, that means that there's no real room in there for other mages if you want to have a level 4 or something else in there. And it is a very big dedication. Plus, this is just like the last guy, right, with Drew Through, where he said, you got this monster that has, 5 wounds. The other guy had 6, I believe. But anyway, all it takes is that one cannon, and pow, you can lose that just like that. And then it's 700 points if you put in the general tax as well. So again, I'm really, really not liking that. It's just way too much the risk, and he's really not putting out 600 points of worth. I really wish they would have said something like, while in woods, he can't be targeted by shooting, or something like that, where you could really get getting more out of him. But currently at 600 points for that, it's too much. That's too much, and you might see him being used for people taking him for fun. These are the same people that take the great horned rat, the monstrous creature in the Skaven. Some people probably don't even know that thing even exists because nobody takes it. It'll be the same thing here. Nobody's going to take this guy, and he's even more expensive than the Skaven monster. All right, next coming up is a one I kind of like, and I just like it because of his hawk. So he's called Araloth. He is the Lord of Talcin. And what this guy is this dude with a hawk. They have a nice little new model for him. And he is still a lord, so he has kind of like your lord stats and stuff like that. He has the biggest thing is he comes with stubborn. So it's like, oh, that's cool. We have a new way to get stubborn in your army. So if you want your rangers to be stubborn, okay, you can put this guy with him. Bam, you're good to go. Or if for some reason you're massing archers, at some point they're going to get to you, and you want to have this guy, okay, he's good and he's stubborn. What he also has is he has his boldest of the bold. So he's stubborn, but if he's all by himself, he has Unbreakable. Now, Unbreakable is really nice, and that means you can use him to hold up a whole thing. The problem is that he is also very, very weak. His weapon skill is going to be the biggest thing helping him at weapon skill 8, so if it's regular troops, standard ones, not elite ones, hopefully they'll be hitting on 5s, but then he's only toughness 3 with like almost no armor. He has a shield. He doesn't even have light armor. So, Unbreakable at toughness 3 and a 6+ save, that is not a lot to be really holding him back. But, the guy still could be like a last turn saver, right? So if you have him on the side or something, and all you need is like, wow, if I can just hold him up so he doesn't maybe charge the watchtower, or so this unit can't charge over. Maybe I'm going to charge him into a flank, or I'm going to charge him into this big unit of skeletons or something, and I can lock them down. So it does have its like really small corner case applications, but this isn't, again, it's not like the Nurgle Demon Prince Unbreakable, where I'm just throwing him in front of your army. I know he's going to be invincible forever once he's in combat. This is like a last desperate chance. You're throwing this guy in just to lock something down. Well, he does have a 4+ ward save, so he does have that. But even then, I mean, it's risky, guys. I mean, this is a lord level character, a special character. He's going to be a lot of points, and if you really need to lock something down for a couple of turns, maybe you should have taken 2 eagles, right? So, anyway, let's move on to his coolest thing that I love about him, and this is Scarin the Eye Thief. And so, okay, this is what the thing does. And it says, at the start of each of your turns, nominate a single enemy model with an 18. That model takes a strength 4 hit. If the wound is unsaved, and the to wound roll was a 6, so it has to be a 6, then the model suffers a -5 penalty to weapon skill and initiative to minimum 1 for the rest of the game. This model can only suffer this penalty once. Now, first of all, I love this because it kind of goes with the theme in this book here of really sniping out characters, right? You have your Waystalkers, which are sniping out whether you're heavily armored or mage in the back. They can just sniper you right out, and this guy's doing it too. He just sends out his little hawk over there and just boom, strength 4 hit. All it had to be is within 18 inches. So really, this guy might want to be running around and getting within that range of the characters too, but just the thing that is kind of funny is if you ever do roll that 6 and make them minus all that much. I mean, first of all, you know from the name is that this hawk is coming in and ripping out the guy's eye, right? So that's kind of like a neat little, visual for you there. But I also find it funny the whole fact that you can only do this once. So clearly, all these characters have at least 2 eyes. I mean, it's not like it's like that's the rule against Cyclopses or something like that to try and help them. But, so there should be able to do this twice because there is 2 eyes. So in my mind, the reason why this is because the hawk comes in and they're like, what a sweet little hawk. Oh, my eye! And then next time it comes, it's like, fool me once, hawk. This is not going to happen again. I don't know. It's the little things that make me like these guys. So anyway, despite the fact that I find it funny, is he worth it? Now, looking at his points, again, he is a good amount of points here. He is 260 points, and really the way I look at it is that he is kind of like your Way Watcher Lord. So really, if you let's say you took a normal Glade Lord and decided, I want him to be my man in the shadows. I'm going to make him my combat guy. He's going to be the Lord for my little run-around army. Well, if you take a regular Glade Lord, give him 100 points of stuff to do this with, you're getting to be about the same points. So, for what this guy does, where he'll be staying back, he'll be doing a little bit of damage and help for you, giving around the good leadership, being able to run over and be stubborn or unbreakable as needed, and then he's also sniping wounds, he could be okay. But honestly, it just isn't. Even when you look at it from that path there, it's like, well, for the same points, I could be taking 3 of the Waystalkers. And it's just not there. You just can't really get the same thing. It's just too many points again for what you're going to mainly be going after is just that little hawk sniping thing. Like I said, the stubborn and the unbreakable is not going to be the major thing you're getting here. And it's unfortunate. It's kind of a really cool thing. I really wish it was just a hero, so he could have been more like a hero Waystalker or going around the sides. But hey, what can you get? At least it's a funny story. Now comes to one that got an interesting change, and that's Drycha. Now she's this little tree spirit that got mad at the world and hates humans and stuff. So what she is she's basically a dryad. She's pretty damn good though. She's weapon skill 7. Strength 4, toughness 4, initiative 7, 4 attacks, and one of her rules is that every time she takes a wound, she gets an additional 2 attacks. So she only has 3, but that means that you could be getting her up to 8 attacks, which is pretty nice, especially when she has hatred. Now, if you ever heal those wounds, you lose those attacks again, so there's no craziness there. And this is kind of like one of the things where sometimes that comes up, right? I've had it in games before where I was trying to kill her, did a couple of wounds in the first round of combat, and then after that I was like, oh my god, she has more attacks now, and then she kills you back. So you can kind of have that come in, but this is kind of weird, like corner case type rule. One of her cooler things is she's level 2 of Shadow. So again, they're starting to mix the lores now. Drew through was Beast, now she's Shadow. Now, of course, the first thing you're going to be hoping for is Mind Razor, right? You would love to be getting Mind Razor Dryads or something like that. So it's always nice to have those in there. Plus, Shadow is pretty damn good as well, right? For let's say you take her and you go for Shadow and you're reducing the army's toughness and also on all your strength 3 bows, they're doing a lot of damage, right? So Shadow is very, very nice. Plus you got Miasma, so you can be reducing movement to really help control that movement phase. So having her as level 2 Shadow is pretty damn nice. Past that, another one of her, well, their only real other big rule she has is one where, this is the one that's really changed from the last book. What you can do is you can pick D3 of your units, which have the, what rule is that called again? The Forest Spirit rule, and they start off the board. And then starting on the first turn, you roll a dice, and on a 3+, they basically wake up, and they come in during your remaining phase, and you can put them wholly within any forest on the board. And this can be really damn good, especially now that you can be mixing the forest all around. Now, let me talk to you about how this used to work. She used to be basically used as like a theme army because she could only include basically these forest spirits in her army. You had the wild riders that snuck in as well because they had the same type of rule, but otherwise you had a tree army. And what that really meant is that even though it's really cool and the idea is like you have these trees waking up all around you, what the opponent did is said like, okay, well, you don't really have any good magic, you don't have any range, I'm just going to stand back and castle so that whenever you come back out of your trees, okay, kill him there, we'll kill you there. So it almost made your opponent play better, whereas maybe they normally would have deployed at the line and moved up, you could have tried outflanking them. Now they're all of a sudden playing to their strengths anyway, castling it and making it even harder for you. Now, you can be including this in any type of mixed army you want. So what you can do is you can have in there all your regular good magic. You can be having in there all of your archers. And basically with all these force that you put around, whether you have the ones that you rolled for, whether it's your free one, whether you take the acorn, and you're saying, okay, I'm going to be shooting you, and I'm going to be attritioning you like we normally do. And then at any random time, you could have a tree man just show up behind you, right? And all of a sudden he's going to be screwing up your plan. Or maybe I can have little groups of dryads, and they'll jump out and start running towards your war machines, right? It's a really big deal. Now, big deal, well, what does that mean points-wise? Now, we're into heroes now, and what she is 255 points. So if you compare her to a regular Brance Wraith, that's a lot more points, right? A regular one's only 75 points. You know, even if you compare it to a regular level 2, which is, 115 points, we're paying quite a bit there. Now, we are getting a mix of a combat character and the mage, so maybe you could argue to getting up to around, like, I don't know, whatever you want to argue, however you want to put this together. But really, the biggest points coming in here is that whole idea where the monsters are coming out from anywhere. Now, with this as well, you would probably be doing this in a larger game because this is a game where you're going to be trying to be going after these things and saying, hey, I'm going to have all these tree men and all their stuff in my army and need to have these shooters as well. So you need to have the points to mix this all in. But the other nice thing that comes with this too is it gives you that safety net again. It's just like why I like the Glade Riders, where they start off an ambush and means like, you got first turn? I don't care, you got nothing to shoot. Now I'm coming in and I'm getting the alpha. You're getting the same thing here with the tree men. If your opponent gets first turn, you don't need to worry about them shooting off your tree men before you have a chance to try and hail a doom their cannon. They get to do their own thing. They'll send their cannon or whatever silly thing. And then on your turn, your tree men might come on then. They might be turn 2. There's a little bit of randomness there. But either way, you are guaranteed to get a turn to try and shoot their cannon before they can shoot your tree men. So you are adding in survivability. And so you really just have to design your army for it. So if you have these things in there, hell, you might have Drew through as well. And if you really want to keep this guy alive, this is a great way to do it. So she is a good chunk of points, but like I said, if your army is built around having tree men and multiples of them, and if you're going for the monster mash, this could be a very good character to take, and I could go for it. Plus, Mind Razor is always good. Now I get on to kind of a weird one, which I had to read over a couple of times because it has some weird little caveats to it. And this is Naestra and Arahan. And these are the two sisters that ride around on a dragon or an eagle, and they're always a real pain. They're always the expensive dragon option, and they're the ones where if you only kill one, it doesn't matter, they get all their stuff back. So let's go through them. First of all, they have their conjoined destiny. So there's two of them there, two little hero characters. And what it says here is that unless both of them are killed in a turn, they both get all their wounds back and come back alive. So you have to make sure that you do 2 wounds to each of them, because they only got 2 wounds each. And as long as you do that, bam, then they're gone. But if you can't do that, you're just not going to get those points. One of them is going to get +1 to wound against the forces of destruction. The other one gets +1 to wound against the forces of order. They don't really have anything else themselves. They don't have any crazy ward saves. They don't have anything like that. So survivability, apart from that little thing there, is kind of an issue. They do have two little things that they can go on. Either they can go onto a Eagle for free, and the Eagle has the thing where, of course, if it, where is it here? If they're on the Eagle, they get their re-rolls to hit while making shoot attacks. So that's pretty nice to have. At the same time, they could go on a Dragon, which they're only paying 220 points for because there's already the points in there basically for the Eagle. And it's a pretty cool, it's the regular Forest Dragon, has a weird breath where it's strength 2, you're -3 to your armor, and then you'll have stupidity. So it's a dragon, and that's pretty nice. But he also has something here where he has impetuous. It's the same rule as the Knights, kind of, for the Knights Errant. And what it is, it says, if Kethin Har, which is the name of the dragon, can declare a charge during the charge subphase, he must do so unless he passes the leadership. Now, they are leadership 9, so this probably won't do anything. One of the things that does bother me here is just talking about this charge subphase. I mean, one of the things that we heard about 9th is that this possibility that they're going to change it to be like 40k, where basically there's the movement and then you charge after. I really hope this rumor isn't true, and reading this really has the alarm bells going off, but because this could have been said so much easier, right? It's this whole thing like if they fail a charge, they have to declare a charge. There's so many other ways to use current terminology, and this just uses a little bit different, which makes me a little bit worried. Let's get back to some rules here. The one that hates the Forces of Destruction, that one has a 30-inch bow, which will get D6 shots. They're armor piercing, they're flaming, and they're strength 5. So pretty nice to have these little high strength shots, even higher basically if you're shooting against the Forces of Destruction. Then the other one that doesn't like the Forces of Order, that one has a 30-inch bow as well. Only strength 1, but there are 2d6 shots, armor piercing, and poison. And remember, you got to remember in there the 2d6. I mean, of course, you're going to be looking for those poisons to go through, but there's a lot of things that are only toughness 3. So if you gain +1 to wound, please remember that you're wounding on 5s and not on 6s. And at 2d6 shots, you could actually get a lot of stuff in there, especially when you have the 2 together, and if they're on the Eagle, getting a reroll to hit. Now, here's the big thing. They are 275 points on the Eagle. Now, on the Eagle, this is what I really don't know how to work this thing because it is a monstrous beast. Now, by my understanding, if you put a character or a model onto a monstrous beast, you go to that shared profile, right? So how do you really handle this? So if you put this now character on here and there's 2 of them, I guess you're going to have to randomize shots all the time. If you're hit by a cannon, I guess all 3 of them would hit. It really is kind of a weird thing. And again, who knows how this is going to change in 9th. So something to really look for here. And please comment down here if I'm getting the rules wrong. I got the book off is 500 kilometers away. But as I remember it, if you're on a monstrous beast, you start doing that share profile. But maybe that is not with these guys here. So it is kind of weird. On a dragon, absolutely. Then you're going to have to be breaking things up. Being hit by a cannon, that's going to be the most dangerous thing. Because if you're hit by a cannon, you're just going to hit all 3 of them. And these girls only have 2 wounds each. So as long as they don't roll a 1 on the cannon, bam, they kill the whole thing, get all those points. So really, really scary there. You know, one of the things I'd almost be tempted to do sometimes is just keeping them on foot and hiding somewhere. There is something weird I saw about this here too that says that basically if they're in a challenge, they both find in a challenge. If their mount is destroyed, they become a unit. If one of them joins a unit, both of them joins a unit. But one of the things it doesn't cover is that if let's say their dragon dies and somehow they live, they fall to the ground and then they have to make a unit. From what I see, there's nothing there saying one can't go this way and the other one goes the other way. I mean, if one joins a unit, you have to then join. But if you just go and stand by another unit, one of them to get lookout sirs from these archers, and the other one stands over here by these archers to get a lookout sir from them, there'd be a lot more survivable and easier to keep alive. So you could be really looking at the victory points denial here, but that whole thing where they only have 2 wounds, and if they hit by a cannon, they're both going to die, bad times. Now, of course, look to 9th. Hopefully they're going to be fixing that with cannon so that you're going to be randomizing when you're hit by a cannon, and the cannon just doesn't somehow pinball machine hit everything. But as it stands right now, it's just too many points. It's just too many points, and you just can't protect them. Even these girls who have one of the best protections where if you don't kill us both, we both come back to life, it's just not there. So really unfortunate. So really looking at over all the special characters, the real losers are the big ones. Orion and the Dragon Sisters, they're just too many points, and you just can't keep those girls alive. The big winners in my eyes are really, it's Drycha. I really like Drycha and the options she gives you. And, you know, then you got Druthu and Araloth, which are kind of cool, but kind of, you know, out there as well. So there you go. There's the special characters. If you have anything that you want me to do topics on for the Wood Elves, please post them down below. I'll cover them in Orc Tactical Teams. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later. Bye.